So here we are. Yeah, Microsoft, Nvidia, Broadcom pulling back a little bit. Apple is up a little over 1%. Amazon, Tesla are up. Other than that, it is a rough day. Energy is up. Eli Lilly is up. So that is our story there. Let us go over to our crypto. Well, our crypto is coming up. We are going to share this other screen. If you think we are getting near tops, this might be a good account for you to at least put a portion of your money into. You don't want to have 54% retracement happen like happened in 2008. And this only goes up, does not go down, stays flat, goes up, kind of like an ascending base, beats index investing by about 5% per year. And if you want to learn more about that, please check in with me. And we're going to go back now. Here is our cryptos. Crypto seem to be bouncing back today, mostly green, where yesterday everything had turned red. So that is the story there. Now let us go to our screens. Got rid of this yesterday. So glad we did, because it is just continuing down. I guess everybody is selling out. Went down to 60. Has 12 month at $82. So it has a lot of work to do to get there. So we'll continue to watch that. The NASDAQ. NASDAQ is pulling back ever so slightly. It's pretty flat for the day. The equal weight in the NASDAQ is doing about the same. Not too much movement, down 0.16%. S&P 500 is pretty flat as well. The equal weight in the S&P is off a little worse. It's off 0.45%. IWM pulls back to the 10-day off 0.63%. And the Dow Jones is off 0.3%. So we've got a little bit of selling going on here. Look at the financials. Pulled back to the 20-day moving average, off a little over 0.5%. KBWB pulls back to the 10-day moving average. Take a look at the VIX. The VIX continues moving up, gets above, looks like the 10-day moving average. No, that would be the 50-day, gets above the 50-day. 10-year treasury, pretty flat. Tried to move higher and sold off. 20-year treasury is off 0.48% today. Look at our aerospace index. It is up 0.3% today. Communications, interesting, it is pulling back. Take a look at Google. It's moving up. Meta tried to move higher and it's pulling back. AT&T is pulling back. The 10-day and T-Mobile, it's fallen below the 200-day, off nearly 1%. So those are two of the issues that have holding back the communications ETF. Energy pops up 1.69%. Airlines pulling below the 20-day moving average. Utilities are pulling back to the 10-day, no, the 50-day here. Actually, it's 10-day is currently below the 50-day. Real estate pulling back to the 10-day. Biotech got a little bit of a bounce today, up 0.56%. The other biotech ETF, not as powerful, but still up 0.23%. Software, a little bit of a pullback in software. And the consumer discretionary, where Tesla and Amazon are, is up about 0.5%. Tesla is really taken off, getting in between the pivot zone and the profit zone here, up another 2.8% today. Amazon getting a nice bounce off of the 10-day moving average, up almost 1.5%. Technology, pretty flat, off 0.34%. Infrastructure, it's pulling back 0.75%. Semiconductors, pretty flat, even though Broadcom and NVIDIA are pulling back. Industrials off 0.5% today. Retail holding steady, although it is pulling back to the 10-day moving average, off 0.73%. Healthcare, get a little bit of a bounce up for the 20-day moving average, up 0.16%. Consumer discretionary, consumer staples, I should say, gets a bounce, 0.21%. Building materials falls to the 50-day moving average. Metals and mining off close to 1% here. Home builders pull back to the 20-day moving average off 0.85%. And finally, uranium pulling back. Wow, that's a nice pullback, 3.28%. Take a look at AI ETF. That's not the ETF I wanted to look at, but this is C3 AI. Pulls back to its 20-day moving average. Now we'll take a look at where the big money is flowing today. JMIA pops above $10. This is a German-based company that is kind of like the Amazon of Africa, up 21% today. Look at all that volume. So right about here, right about $5 went into a power trend, and it's been kind of riding the 10-day moving average ever since then. Par Pacific oil and gas refinery jumps into the pivot zone here. Nice little cup with a handle. There's a handle pulling back here, and it pops up. Moved into the power trend right about here, 30.92, and it's been trending up ever since then. Here's an issue that we talked about yesterday. You're down in Uruguay, pulled back right here, and then bounce, kind of been following the 20-day and has cleared the 10-day right here, up 3.88%. CVI Energy pops into the pivot zone today. Kind of lowish volume. Nice little cup with a handle formation here. Pulls back to the 20-day moving average and then bounces today up 6.53%. Baidu, one of the first big companies out of China. Back in 2000, I believe. Pops into the pivot zone. Had two institutional ants right over here. And it is up 7.16% today. CJ Technology develops potential backbone bladder sparing therapeutic for patients with bladder cancer. And it has a big move today, up 6.45%. Looks like it went into the power zone right on this day when it hit 29.03. Trip.com Got some pretty good price action as it tries to get up to the pivot zone here. Had a big gap up right over here and had some selling come in, people taking their profits. Generally what happens, people who bought way over here, and then he said, as soon as it gets up to where I bought, I'm going to sell. So this is over in resistance. And once it clears that, boom, to the moon it can go. And Synovus Energy. And it breaks out of this kind of shelf that it had right here, up 3.03%. Oil and gas explorer. Here's a name we haven't talked about for a while. PagSeguro Digital. Jumps into the pivot zone. Pretty good volume right over here. Looks like it just jumped into the power trend right here, about 897. And it's been moving up ever since. It's up a little over 10% today. And finally, we'll just take a peek at, well, Steel Dynamics is in here. Amcor Technology. Popped through the pivot zone and then is pulling back here, up 3.86%. Some pretty good volume here. Does look like it is in a power trend. Power trend, I believe, happened right around here, right around 2250. And it's stayed in that power trend zone ever since then. And let us look at Steel Dynamics. I believe it is. Yes, Steel Dynamics. Pops into the pivot zone. Looks like it came off of a double bottom here. Came down to 124.56. Popped up. Here's the middle of the W, which it's just cleared today. So if you're buying off of a double bottom, this would be a buy point. And pulled back to 119.89. So that is how double bottoms work. So we've gone over a cup with handle and double bottoms and the power trend today. So that is our chart analysis for today. Now we're going to stop the share. We're going to go over to our quote of the day. So our quote of the day comes from Bernhard Berenson. Miracles happen to those who believe in them. So if you want a miracle, believe in them and write it down on your goal sheet and keep repeating it on a daily basis. So that is our show for today. Thanks for tuning in. Hope everybody has a great day. Go out there and make a difference. Go out there and lift somebody else up in need. Try to make somebody smile. And in the meantime, hope everybody has a great Taco Tuesday. If you can, go out and support your favorite taco truck. This has been Money, Markets, and Motivation with Mike.